He was a naturally talented researcher who was working at a research institute in Chernobyl. While working in this research facility, he and some other colleagues were researching the disappearance of oil. When the apocalypse began, the facility he worked at was one of the first sites that encountered supernatural phenomena due to its proximity to the Chaos Sea. After falling inside the Chaos Sea, he was put into an unconscious or sealed state. There were no mentions of him until the second epic. In this era, the world was ruled by 8 ancient gods. They ruled the sky, the land, the oceans, and they ruled over the spirit world, the astral world, and various races. Humans were commonly subordinates or slaves of the other races like the giants, elves, and sanguines. By the time the ancient sun god woke up from the Chaos Sea, it was already the early era of fire during the second epic. When he woke up, he said, "Let there be light." And so light appeared. He gained many things in Chernobyl, including the first blasphemy slate, control over the Chaos Sea, and the uniqueness of the error pathway. The ancient sun god became a deity based on the sun pathway and collected the uniqueness and the maximum required sequence 1 beyonder characteristics of the corresponding pathways. According to Sasrir, soon after he walked out of the Chaos Sea, he sensed that the primordial God Almighty was awakening inside his body. So he created another self in hopes of controlling the Chaos Sea and isolating it from corrupting his body. He separated part of his personality and merged it with the Degeneration Authority and the Hanged Man Beyonder characteristics to create Sasrir. However, the primordial God Almighty continued to wake up despite all of his efforts. After Sanguine's civilization was destroyed, the Moon City followed the ancient sun god. He ordered the residents of Moon City to guard the barrier fog that sealed the western continent. In his rise, in his religious text, and in the records of the City of Silver, he fought against most of the ancient gods and took their power. He claimed himself to be the omnipotent and omniscient God, the Lord that created everything, who was reclaiming his authority. The ancient gods that survived his assault was the devil monarch Farbaudi, and he did this by fleeing to the abyss. The phoenix ancestor Greges also survived by fleeing to the southern continent. He was not responsible for the deaths of sanguine ancestor Lilith, the annihilation demonic wolf Phlegria, and the mutated king Kvastir as recorded in the City of Silver. According to Erodes, the ancient sun god is the second creator. It is then later revealed that he almost became the second god almighty. The ancient sun god then made another attempt to fight against the awakening of the primordial God Almighty. He gave birth to 2 sons to decrease his beyonder characteristics, which led to Ammon, who was born with the uniqueness and sequence 1 characteristic of the error pathway, as well as Adam, who inherited his uniqueness and 2 sequence 1 beyonder characteristics of the visionary pathway. As the omnipotent and omniscient, it's likely that he creates a uniqueness that borders between reality and illusory to maintain his state at sequence 0 visionary. In the third epic, after the death of all the ancient gods, the ancient sun god became the absolute ruler of the world and the one and only orthodox gods. There were 8 kings of angels under him. And in this era, humans walked out of the shadow of other races and became the dominant race of the land. And so, with the primordial God Almighty close to awakening inside of him, the ancient sun god decided to make a plan at the end of the third epic. The plan was that during the fight between him and his corrupted side's consciousness, he would be assassinated. Following this, he would immediately revive in the giant king's court where Sasrir's body was. He would first take back the uniqueness and 3 sequence 1 characteristics of the Hanged Man pathway and become sequence 0 Hanged Man. Using the first blasphemy slate placed inside the body, he would gain a preliminary control over the Chaos Sea, and use this foundation to allow Angel of Imagination Adam to awaken and return to his main body to form a support. With this system, the ancient sun god would use the Hanged Man's grazing ability and the visionary's virtual persona to control the uniqueness and sequence 1 characteristics of Sun, White Tower, and Tyrant pathways. This would allow him to become close to a Grey Old One while maintaining a minimum level of stability. He didn't directly accommodate the Chaos Sea and the other pathways because he didn't want to advance to become a great old one, a pillar in that era. That would lead to the resurrection of the primordial God Almighty, causing him to lose himself. He would control the situation and materials, then finish the last few steps to advance when the apocalypse approached. To achieve the plan, the kings of angels, except Adam and Ammon, led by Sisrir, and the subsidiary gods, led by the Evernight goddess, formed Rose Redemption and plotted against him. Sisrir fell asleep inside the giant king's court, and his consciousness returned to the ancient sun god's body. In the meantime, he was besieged by Rose Redemption and died at the place now known as the Sea of Ruins. His death was also the end of the third epic. However, the Wind Angel, White Angel, and Wisdom Angel betrayed the plan and feasted on his remains, and instead became the Lord of Storms, the Eternal Blazing Sun, and the God of Knowledge and Wisdom, respectively. The fourth epic began with his death. After that, his consciousness returned to Adam, and he disguised himself as Adam ever since. Also, because of the betrayal, he could only urgently fuse the extreme emotions of his fall and be reborn on his corpse. He could only take back the hand-man pathway beyond her characteristics and the authority of degeneration. Together with his negative personality, which was Sisrir's consciousness, formed the god known as the true creator. Meanwhile, what was known as Sisrir was left in the giant king's court and turned into an evil spirit due to the lingering obsession he had, as well as the Chaos Sea's powers, which were brought by the first blasphemy slit. The fall of the ancient sun god created the Sea of Ruins and separated the eastern continent, now known as the Forsaken Land of the Gods, from the world. Since then, it has entered into a state of permanent darkness, punctuated only by the brief lightning flashes that happen every few seconds. The second blasphemy slate was created from his remains after his death. In the fifth epic, the books and legends of the ancient sun god had been missing for 2,000 to 3,000 years, and the churches of the seven gods' Bibles are copied from him. As of the first Lord of the Mysteries book, since both the true creator and Adam are part of him, they need to fuse together to become complete, but instead they have been fighting over who should be the dominant persona ever since they both awakened. And during Klein's apotheosis ritual, Adam partially fused with the true creator, with Adam as the dominant persona. Although what I've talked about covers most of the history of the ancient sun god, I would also like to cover some of the stuff that the true creator did. And so, in the fourth epic, he and Rose Redemption supported the Solomon Empire based on the wall paintings found in the true creator's temple. Ouroboros had led members of Rose Redemption into the Forsaken Lands of God as a pilgrimage. Sometime in the fourth epic, the true creator and the underworld emperor had a cooperation, and they and some other gods had mingled alliances and balance of power between them. Since the true creator was the negative personality born from the corpse and spirit of the ancient sun god, he had a rather sizable level of the Sephira authority over the Chaos Sea before the War of the Four Emperors. Therefore, his combat strength somewhat exceeded that of a normal Sequence 0 before he was severely wounded and sealed by the seven Orthodox deities during the War of the Four Emperors. In the fifth epic, many secret organizations that worship the true creator emerged, such as the Aurora Order and the Iron Blood Cross Order. Most of the stuff from Adam was pretty obviously mentioned in book 1, like when he used to pop up on Klein and be scary and shit like that. And what else did he do? He had like the mind world shit. Yeah, the one where he invited Audrey and did things of that nature. But if you read the book, you know most of that, and I feel like I don't gotta talk about most of the stuff that was very explicitly shown. I'm just here to talk about more of the stuff that was like in the background that was easily missed. And yeah, that's basically it for this video. Thank you for watching. I'm not talking about any of the stuff that happened in book 2 because I haven't read it yet. So if you would like to hear a review from me on book 2, you know, drop a comment and I might be down to do that. And, you know, sorry for the very long wait between videos. I don't really have a good excuse for that. It just happened, you know. But yeah, thanks for watching.